We share the Pacific Ocean, a vast expanse of water that has been a global resource for food, livelihood, transport, and recreation for centuries. Yet, we have all witnessed how life on this changing planet has created new risks for our region. Our islands share common threats of climate change that range from rising temperatures and sea levels, which threaten our well-being and survival, to ocean acidification and salinization, which affect our food and water security, the spread of vector-borne diseases, worsening air pollution, more extreme typhoons and other weather events, and countless other challenges that have serious ecological, security, and health implications. These are not easy times for the peoples of the Pacific. Yet our countries have also taken the lead in international collaboration and action. We have all pushed for the adoption of the Paris Climate Agreement, particularly its goal to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius in order to provide our countries a fighting chance to not only survive, but also thrive. Under our President, Rodrigo Duterte, our government's policy has been to reach out and establish friendly relations to all nations. There is no better place to make this happen than among our Pacific Island country neighbors, all leaders in the climate front. The Federated States of Micronesia, Fiji, Kiribati, Nauru, Palau, Republic of the Marshall Islands, and Tuvalu. It is Fiji who brought to the United Nations climate negotiations the Talanoa Dialogue, and we shall aspire for that spirit of inclusiveness, participation, and transparency during this forum. Likewise, the Republic of Marshall Islands will soon chair the Climate Vulnerable Forum, a formidable coalition of 48 developing countries. We are proud to have chaired the Climate Vulnerable Forum through the negotiations for the Paris Agreement, and we are eager to continue the fight for global climate action with the rest of the forum under your leadership. Dr. Susan Mercado has brought to our attention how the Philippines is a major referral point for patients needing advanced medical and surgical care from the Pacific. I am told that this happened spontaneously over many years. Perhaps it is time for us to strengthen our partnership. I am sure you will hear more of this from our Secretary of Health, Francisco T. Duque III. We can find ways to overcome the barriers of distance if we build strong working relationships and solve our problems together. Beyond the Pacific Ocean, we can share ideas, resources, expertise, and build a common vision for peace, health, and security in the Asia-Pacific region. I welcome you to the Philippines and look forward to a productive meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Councilor Mary Josel D. Villafuerte. Moving on, may we call the Secretary of the Department of Health, Secretary Francisco T. Duque III, for his message and to subsequently introduce our guest of honor.
I'll go straight to the introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my singular honor and privilege to present to you the country's champion of universal healthcare, His Excellency, Mayor Rodrigo Roa Duterte, President of the Republic of the Philippines.
Kindly sit down. Thank you for your courtesy. Health Secretary Francisco Duque, Climate Change Commission Secretary Emmanuel de Guzman, the honorable members of the health from other Asia-Pacific island countries and other participants who are here with us today, His Excellency Xiao, Ambassador of the People's Republic of China to the Philippines, other distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I have a two-page speech. I can finish this in about the most is 2 minutes. Then what do we do? And that is why I propose that I will just read the speech. I do not really give speeches. I want to dialogue sort of with the audience. Speeches, more than anybody of you here, bores me to death. And so I tend to just deliver extemporaneous. I ignore, but sometimes, because maybe of the energy that this staff has also, I kind of want to repay their toil. Maybe this prepared was done this noontime hurriedly. So after my talk, or would you rather that I will just read my speech and talk to you individually later? What seems to be the problem, what ails the country of the Philippines? Just like any other country in the world, it is vulnerable to what? Changes. Well, number one is because the carbon footprint, they say, is just too many, too heavy a load for Mother Earth to carry. And so we had this climate change conference, and may I just read it so that you'd know that I'm here and I'm with you. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to stand before you today and witness a new partnership that will be forged among regional players in the health sector. We acknowledge the joint efforts of the Department of Health, the Department of Foreign Affairs, the Climate Change Commission, and our private partners for hosting this cross-country conference, which explores opportunities for network approach, common markets, and sub-regional procurement for goods, drugs, and services. This is a very important event that will enable countries in the Asia-Pacific to explore practical solutions to solve shared health problems and overcome common challenges in delivering essential medical services to our peoples. Those of us located in the region, especially to the many island countries like ours, are indeed facing a very complex issue when it comes to healthcare. Our geography has made it establishing effective health systems that will be very difficult and costly. This vulnerability has become even more pronounced in times of natural disasters and calamities. Therefore, if we are to genuinely secure the welfare of our peoples in the region, a comprehensive and network approach to delivering health care, employing the latest tools, innovations, techniques, and solutions must be adopted. We must harmonize our people's strategies so we can build responsive, effective, and resilient health systems that will not only withstand disaster, but also assist our neighbors in times of need. Indeed, the distance between us will be vast, but if we work together, we can bridge this gap and build a network of cooperation and collaboration. After all, to what end did we make our advancement in medicine, logistics, science, and technology? What use would it be if we could not use them to help our fellow men and utilize the resources to enhance our shared humanity? To the delegates, rest assured that you have my full support as you engage with your counterparts and partners in our region and the rest of the world. A much happier place to live in, and together let us make it happen, not just for ourselves, but for the generations to come. Thank you, and before I say my goodbye, we were late in enrolling ourselves in the Commission on Climate Change. I had my doubts if could we ever compel the other nations, especially the big and powerful ones, to also obey the commonality of our determination. True enough, the United States withdrew from the, I don't know why. I really do not, I have to fathom the reason or even the rationale or rationale of the withdrawal. Is it because it cannot work hand in hand with other nations? Or is it because Trump would like to do it alone? He's my friend, and well, of course, I've been invited to the United States several times, but you know, it's not because of anybody or any place there. It has something to do with the schedule. It can only be a regional flight, so I can go, fly in and fly out in the evening. That would be very easy. But the long haul of 13, 14 hours would kill me. I used to fly when I was young. Many years. I had accumulated something like 670 hours of flying. But for the life of me, I cannot stand long flights anymore. Even at the recovery of the jet lag, it would take me about almost 2 to 3 days to just stretch it out before I can function as a person outside. And so we would like to see, at least my country, that there's really something of a good faith on the part of everybody to do his share of the endeavor. There has to be an enterprise in the approach, business-like. You honor your word.
This is Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines. Sitting in for Pia Ontiveros, I'm Ruth Cabal. Our top story.
House Resolution number 2025.
Objection.
Point of order.
Objection.
We are in the process of voting. Therefore,
Mr.
there
Speaker,
will be no
there is an
interruption.
objection.
There is a motion to
Objection.
adopt House
Objection, Mr. Speaker.
number 2025.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Those in favor say aye.
Peke ito.
Those
Your
not in
Honor.
favor say
Objection.
nay.
Hindi nyo kinikilala.
The ayes have it. Resolution 2025 is adopted. Session suspended.
Pa, sa pagkakahalal ng bagong speaker, pinatayan nyo ako ng mic. Nag-object pa rito, hindi nyo kinilala. Kitang-kita naman, oh. Maya naman kayo!
The House of Representatives in transition. Lawmakers jostling for their places and voices under the new leadership. A massive fire in Jolo leaves thousands homeless. We check how the victims are holding up. And well wishes pour in for singer Demi Lovato, now in a hospital for drug overdose. Our top story tonight, still on the shakeup at the House of Representatives and how lawmakers are moving forward. House Speaker Gloria Macapagal Arroyo finally met with her predecessor, Pantaleon Alvarez, this morning. This afternoon, however, former House Majority Leader Rudy Fariñas questioned a resolution on Arroyo's election as House Speaker. Joyce Silas is keeping tabs on all of these at the Batasang Pambansa. Joyce, what happened in these meetings?
Ruth, after 2 days, ousted House Speaker Pantaleon Alvarez finally broke his silence. In a statement, Alvarez acknowledged former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo as the new House Speaker, and he asked everyone to move on and to go back to work for the sake of the country. Now, earlier today, Alvarez and Arroyo met at the Speaker's office. After successfully unseating him, House Speaker Gloria Macapagal Arroyo met with ousted Speaker Pantaleon Alvarez. However, unlike the dramatic coup on Monday, Arroyo says the meeting was good and cordial. Arroyo says based on their meeting, it looks like Alvarez is willing to cooperate in her leadership.
Ma'am, very briefly, you met with Speaker Alvarez today.
Yes.
What was discussed, ma'am?
Oh, that we continue our good relations with each other.
Ma'am, did she acknowledge your speakership? Did he acknowledge your speakership?
You know, I don't think I should be repeating private conversations to the media.
Pampanga Representative Dong Gonzales says he was the one who set up the meeting between the current and former House Speakers. Gonzales says it was Arroyo who visited Alvarez at his office Wednesday morning. He narrates that Alvarez has started to pack his things at the Speaker's office. Arroyo wanted to offer Alvarez her office, which is right beside the Speaker's office. Pictures that Gonzales released to media show the two leaders talking and smiling at each other. In a text message to CNN Philippines, Alvarez said that for the sake of the country, let's get back to work and move forward. He refused to give any further statements. Aside from Alvarez, Arroyo also met with her PDP Laban party mates this afternoon. During their fellowship, Arroyo said she told her colleagues that it is their job to carry out the legislative agenda of President Duterte. Arroyo also met with committee chairmen this afternoon. Negros Occidental Representative Albi Benitez said that Arroyo assured them that as of now, there will be no changes in the committee chairmanships. Benitez said Arroyo asked them to go back to work and continue all committee hearings. Ruth, a commotion ensued here during the session this afternoon after the new leadership moved to adopt a resolution entering into the records the election of Arroyo as the new speaker. Let's watch what happened.
House Resolution number 2025.
Objection.
Point of order. We are in the process of voting. Therefore,
Mr. Speaker, there is an objection.
There is a motion to adopt House Resolution number 2025.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Those in favor say aye.
Objection, Your Honor. Objection. Hindi nyo kinikilala.
Your Honor, objection. Resolution 2025 adopted. Session suspended.
Sa pagkakahalal ng bagong speaker, pinatayan niyo ako ng mic. Nag-object pa rito, hindi niyo kinilala. Kitang-kita naman, oh. Maya naman kayo!
Former Majority Leader Rudy Fariñas objected to the motion. He said that the resolution did not pass through the Committee on Rules, which he believes he still heads. But eventually, the resolution was still adopted and the session was eventually adjourned. Ruth?
So, Joyce, can you tell us more about the commotion? Why was Fariñas' motion sustained or not considered? And also, why was ACT Teachers Party List Representative Antonio Tino also objecting?
Ruth, under House rules, bills and resolutions must pass through the Committee on Rules first before they can be included in the order of business during the session. Now, interim Majority Leader Fred Castro said that he is now the Majority Leader, and in effect, he is also now the Chairman of the Committee on Rules, and that he approved of the inclusion of this resolution in today's session. Farinas and DAC Teachers Party List Representative Antonio Tino still tried to object repeatedly, but House Deputy Speaker and then Presiding Officer Rolando Andaya Jr. called for a vote, and the resolution was eventually passed. Tino said the railroading of the resolution is an admission that the election of Arroyo was invalid. Now, Nueva Ecija Representative Magnolia Antonino, however, explained that the resolution was only meant to put the election on record for housekeeping purposes. She maintains that Arroyo's election is valid, and because the ultimate power comes from the majority, or in this case, the 184 congressmen who voted in favor of Arroyo as the new House Speaker. Ruth?
Joyce Ilas reporting. In the wake of a leadership tussle at the House of Representatives, a group of congressmen are claiming to be the official members of the minority bloc. 12 lawmakers from the Liberal Party say they are the duly constituted minority based on House rules and jurisprudence, since they abstained from voting Pampanga Representative Gloria Macapagal Arroyo as House Speaker. The group elected Marikina City Representative Miro Kimbo as minority leader. To formalize their designation, Kimbo says he has written Arroyo to inform her that he and his 11 colleagues comprise the minority bloc. Kimbo insists incumbent minority leader Danilo Suarez cannot remain in his post since he voted for Arroyo as Speaker. He says there can be no genuine minority if the minority leader is someone allied with Arroyo.
Ginawa na namin lahat ng kinakailangang hakbang according to the rules. Becoming the minority leader or composing the minority never requires the consent of the majority or the speaker. Former minority leader Suarez cannot be a minority leader because he's already part of the majority. The rules are very, very specific. Sinasabi sa rules mismo na those who vote for the winning speaker shall constitute the majority. If they assert themselves, then we will just show the very rules that they wrote and that they pounded on us to defeat the genuine minority then.
In an earlier press conference, ACT Teachers Party List Representative Antonio Tino say the Makabayan Bloc is the minority group since it has consistently opposed policies of the Duterte administration. But since they are only made up of 7 members, Tino says they are open to joining forces with other factions. Kimbo says talks are underway about a possible coalition with the Makabayan Bloc. The first achievement of the lower house under the leadership of Arroyo is the ratification of the Bangsamoro Organic Law. Now it heads to the President's office for signing. Special Assistant to the President Bongo says it is uncertain if Congress will be able to deliver the measure to Mr. Duterte today. He adds the President will still have to review the BOL once he receives it. The majority and minority blocs of the Senate agree that charter change should not be rushed. Senator Ralph Recto says federalism will only cause more problems and worsen bureaucracy, red tape, taxes, and political dynasties. Constitutional amendments and revision of codes chair Senator Kiko Pangilinan says senators still need to review the draft constitution submitted to the Senate last week. Senate Majority Leader Mig Zubiri also sees a long debate on Chacha, but he adds there's one thing all senators agree on.
Wala sa amin papayag na magkaroon ng Noel. Noel, talagang united kami. We will probably vote as one to come up with a sense of the Senate on the issue of Noel, and we would probably also be united in this issue in and outside the Senate. So definitely elections will continue. There should be no talk of Noel.
We appreciate all your online comments on our top stories tonight. Keep them coming through our pages at CNN Philippines. We're also live on Facebook right now. Here are today's global headlines. A number of people have died and 100 others are missing after a dam in southern Laos collapsed Monday. U.S. non-governmental organization International Rivers said continuous heavy rains caused the dam to break. State media says the dam collapse caused flash floods in 6 villages. The disaster left more than 6,000 people homeless. The Lao Prime Minister is monitoring rescue and relief efforts. Meantime, at least 74 people have died in the worst wildfires to hit Greece in more than a decade. Residents told of horrifying scenes as flames engulfed a seaside village. The only way out for some was to run to the water. At least 164 adults and 23 children have been injured in the fires. The fires are the deadliest to hit the country since blazes that burned through the southern Peloponnese in August 2007, which killed dozens. The fires are burning in 5 main fronts in the Attica region. About 500 firefighters are battling the flames, and over 100 members of the military and fire brigade are searching for the missing. Greek Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras has declared 3 days of mourning. Most of the Thai boys rescued from a flooded cave earlier this month have taken the first steps to become novice Buddhist monks. Tuesday morning, 11 of them attended a pre-ordination ceremony. Their initiation was completed at a second event in the afternoon. The boys will live for 9 days in the Buddhist temple and will have their heads shaved. The act is a high honor in Thailand. It's meant to give thanks for their safe return and will also honor the Navy SEAL who died in their rescue effort. One boy from the group is not taking part because he is a Christian. He attended a local church to perform a separate ceremony. Emma Thompson is taking on a familiar role in an upcoming sci-fi flick. CNN's Rick Damigella tells us which one in the Hollywood Minute.
Mad Max Fury Road has been voted as the greatest Australian film of the 21st century so far. Over 4 dozen Australian film critics were polled to determine the honor. Animal Kingdom and Samson and Delilah round out the top 3.
Emma looking good.
Casting news, Emma Thompson is rejoining the Men in Black. The Hollywood Reporter says the actress will reprise her role of MIB Chief Agent O. The reboot of the Men in Black franchise begins filming this month and also stars Chris Hemsworth and Tessa Thompson.
Images of broken light which dance before me like a million eyes.
Across the Universe gets an encore. Julie Taymor directed the 2007 jukebox musical featuring the music of the Beatles. Fathom Events will screen the film for 3 days in select theaters on July 29th, 31st, and August 1st. In Hollywood, I'm Rick Damigella.
Up next, another government official defends the train law, saying more taxes is not always a bad thing. And see Tom Cruise do impossible stunts again. His latest film hits local cinemas. This is Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines.
The end you always feared is coming.
This is Newsnight on CNN Philippines. Thousands of families are left homeless in Sulu after a huge fire yesterday. At least one person is reported dead. Officials estimate the damage at 500 million pesos. Our senior correspondent David Santos was in Jolo earlier today, and he joins us for the latest. David, what can you tell us?
Well, Ruth, this was a massive fire that swept through two seaside villages in Sulu's capital town of Jolo. Initial reports say the fire broke out around 2 p.m. Tuesday in a coastal barangay called the Walled City. Now, most of the structures here are houses on stilts, which are very common in some Muslim communities. Now, these homes are made of light materials, so the fire quickly spread to nearby communities, including to Barangay Busbus, which is just adjacent to Barangay Walled City. Now, firefighters and emergency response teams had a tough time controlling the blaze since fire trucks could not navigate through narrow passageways and densely populated neighborhoods.
Kahit may fire truck, hindi naman makakapasok yung fire truck doon sa loob-looban kasi wala namang mga access road. Kasi nga stilt ang bahay, tapos nasa dagat, tapos ang iba footbridge. Kaya mapansin mo doon sa area namin, yung concrete footbridge na lang ang naiiwan.
Now, authorities said high winds from the sea and the mounds of garbage that washed ashore and dried by severe warm weather worsened the situation. The Bureau of Fire Protection said the fire was completely put out after 11 hours or just before midnight Tuesday. About 13 hectares of homes and other structures were burned down. At least one person, an elderly male, reportedly died due to the fire, though local officials are still verifying his identity and the circumstances of his death. Now, many survivors, including women with babies, said they were forced to flee into the sea to escape the raging fire.
Init na masyado, hindi naman kasi maraming bata. Maabutan ng sunog. Tumalon sa dagat, sa may bangka. Tapos umalis dyan sa may sunog.
Now, officials say based on initial estimates, about 2,500 homes were destroyed. At least 5,200 families were displaced. Close to 700 families have been accounted for so far and are now staying in government centers that have been converted into temporary shelters. The majority of the other affected families are staying with families and friends. Authorities have yet to determine the actual cause of the blaze. One report reaching the military stated the fire may have started from overheated electricity cables just outside a home in Barangay Walled City. Now, various government agencies have also launched relief assistance. The Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao, or ARMM, has sent out to Jolo aid packages consisting of food and clothes. These were airlifted today through the armed forces. We spoke to affected residents and they are appealing for help since they barely managed to save their belongings. Ruth.
David Santos reporting. Education Secretary Leonor Briones says Filipinos should change their mindset about paying taxes. In President Duterte's tone on Monday, he said he's hoping to see the passage of Package 2 of the train law before the end of the year. Some senators, however, are hesitant to back the measure amid consumers' complaints that the train law has only led to higher cost of basic goods. Administration officials have repeatedly denied that the train law is to blame for the higher inflation rate.
This kind of attitude has to change because taxes now will pay for the education of our children. Taxes will pay for the bridges that will allow the children to cross rivers without swimming across them to go to school. Taxes will build hospitals.
Briones also stresses the need to support all train packages to ensure that programs that will improve the education sector will proceed without putting the country into further debt. The Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board is studying the fare structures of all transport network companies. This in light of a fare hike petition filed by Grab Philippines. LTFRB Chairman Martin Delgra says the fares of TNCS should be rationalized just like other public utility vehicles. Grab wants to raise its per kilometer charge to 11 pesos to 15, from 11 pesos to 15 pesos. That's up from 10 to 14 pesos.
What we're trying to do now with the board is that we're actually looking at the fare structure not only of the petitioner Grab, but also for all the rest of the TNC. But we're trying to understand it from the point of view of